Hello, good afternoon. I think some of you started joining already, which is great. Thank you for joining us today for our Transitioning to Practice webinar. My name's Sheetal. I'm the Head of Marketing Services here at RCOT. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes to give everybody a chance to join the webinar. In the meantime, do feel free to introduce yourselves on the chat. We'd love to know who you are, and do say hello to us. We also have a questions Q&A tab that you'll see towards the bottom of your screen that you can use to submit questions to us today throughout the webinar. So joining me today for this webinar to present to you, we have Carolyn Hay, our Head of Education, and Dr. Nikki Daniels, our Head of Professional Development. So we will be recording this session today, and we'll be sharing that recording with you in about a week or so, together with all of the slides as well from today's event. So don't feel you have to write everything down. Okay, I think we'll make a start now, Dagmara, please, to the next slide. Firstly, we wanted to congratulate you all. Many of you would have recently completed your studies, and we just wanted to take a moment to say thank you and a huge well done for all of the hard work that you've put in over the course of your studies. And I hope you've been enjoying all the celebrations and all of your graduation ceremonies, etc., with your families. During the event today, we're going to be running a couple of polls to help us get an insight into you and your situation now, and your awareness of RCOT benefits as well. So the first poll you can see on screen now. I think I can see it, so I'm hoping you can too. So the question is asking, how aware are you of the support available to you as you move into practice? So if you could fill that in, that would be great, and then we'll run that similar poll at the end of the event to see if that's hopefully you've learnt more throughout the session. Great to see you all adding comments into the chat. Thank you very much. I'm thinking today might be the first time you've attended an RCOT online event as well, and it's a great way to. Apologies, I think I got disconnected then for a moment, but I hope you've been filling in the polls then while I've been away. Could one of my colleagues just kind of share what's been happening? Have we done both polls? Okay, we're on the second poll now. Thank you for bearing with me. Not quite sure what happened there. So we'd like to know your situation at the moment and where you are, what you're up to. So if you could have a look at the questions and pick the one that, the options rather, and pick the one that best describes you, would be really grateful for that insight. We'll leave the poll up there for a minute, but I will let you know that today we're going to introduce you to the tools that you have available via RCOT as part of your membership, and we'll also be giving you insights into how you can move smoothly into practice. So I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Nikki, who's going to continue the presentation. Can turn the poll off now. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheetal. And can I just share that I just got kicked out as well, as long as with Sheetal there. So if I do disappear quickly again, I'll be back as quickly as I possibly can. So hello, everybody. Welcome. It's lovely to see so many people on the call. As Sheetal says, I'm Nikki Daniels, and I'm the Head of Professional Development here at RCOT. Dagmar, if you could perhaps pop the slides back up.
I'm back. I can pop the slides up now, sorry.
Thank you, sorry. Thanks, Carolyn. So while Carolyn's putting those up, we've got 4 actions for you today. You're going to hear quite a lot from me I'm going to be doing quite a lot of talking. So I'm going to be talking you through how you about getting connected, about recognising your skills and knowledge, and about raising your profile, and how being an RCUT member can support you with doing this. And then my colleague Carolyn is going to talk you through about getting and staying informed. So I'm going to start off about talking about how you can build a strong foundation to your career as you start off. I know we've got lots of people on the call, perhaps coming towards the end of their programme of study, and some of you that are perhaps already graduated. So we're going to be talking about how we build that strong foundation for your career, and how RCUT and being a member of RCUT can support you on that next chapter of your professional journey. So professional development can mean many things, but at its heart, it's about continuing to grow your professional career. It's about also meeting the requirements of your professional body and, your HCPC, and being a registered professional. So I'm going to be sharing some of the tools and some of the activities and the opportunities that come with being a member of RCUT, all of which are designed to support you on this journey as you transition into practice. So I want to start off by talking about the importance of connecting with others. So when you do move from university into practice, you're entering into a whole new environment, and none of us do that on our own. So one of the most valuable things you can do early on in your career is to connect with other occupational therapists. And a really important part of being an RCUT member is that you are part of a really strong and a really diverse community of over 36,000 members. And that includes other learners, support workers, and occupational therapists who are at every career stage and who are working across a really diverse and wide variety of roles and in lots of different settings. And we're really delighted to have you as part of that diverse community. So connecting with others means that you can learn from each other's experiences, you can reach out for advice when you need help, but you can also offer that support when somebody else has a question or needs some support. And you can come together and collaborate and problem solve and work on joint projects with others around shared interests. You can't really underestimate the value of these sorts of interactions, especially when they bring people together from different services, different regions, and different backgrounds. And being part of a network and networking and interacting in a network is quite often overlooked as a professional development activity, but at RCUT, we believe it's one of the most valuable tools that you have. So that's why we're really passionate about offering you ways to connect with each other. So these interactions and reflective conversations that you have are genuine CPD, continuing professional development, and they can be recorded and they can be recognised as part of your professional development, so really helping you to improve your practice, to strengthen your confidence, and ultimately to benefit the people that you support. I'm going to tell you a bit more about how I will support you to connect and to record these activities shortly. So next slide, please, Carolyn. So I can see that many of you have been introducing yourself in the chat and sharing where you are in the UK, but it'd be great if you could also share with each other if you have been a member of a network and if you find it beneficial. So there might be some people on the call who've not yet had the opportunity to benefit from being part of a network, or might have some reservations about being part of a network, especially if it's online. So it'd be good if any of you have had positive experiences, if you can share that in the chat, and then do keep that chat going throughout the webinar as we move along. We've also got some e-learning, a little bite-sized e-learning program that you can do that will help you to analyse and reflect and think about how to make the most of networking and the networks that you're a part of, and how to record that as part of your continuing professional development. And we'll share where you can find that in the chat as we go along. So next slide, please. So how do we at RCUT support you to connect with others? So through your RCUT membership, you have access to RCUT communities. This is quite a brand new member benefit that we're all really excited about. We've very recently introduced, and it's an online engagement platform where you can join networks, you can connect with peers, you can ask questions, you can share resources, and you can learn from people with a wide range of experiences. And the more you connect, the more you learn. So that's what's really at the heart of RCUT communities. It's about learning from each other and, as I said before, learning from each other's experiences. The activities and the resources that happen on RCUT communities are very much shaped by member insights, so hopefully it makes them very relevant and responsive to your needs. Next slide, please. So on RCUT communities, you can connect directly with other members, you can create group chats around specific topics of interest, and you can also join a range of professional, practice and regional networks. So here's a quick tour of our professional networks. We have Research Connect. So here you can link up with researchers, you can keep up to date with the latest in generating and applying research evidence, and you can find out about how to develop your research skills. We've got our Innovation Hub, where you can share and learn from other members' service improvement and innovation projects. We've got a leadership network, and this is open to all because leadership is for everyone, no matter where you are in your career. So you can find out about development opportunities and you can connect with leaders across our workforce. We've got an AI network, and this has just been recently launched, just in the past few weeks, very exciting, and it's already buzzing with discussion on how AI can be used in practice and what it means for us as a profession. Independent Practice Network, and this one is for anybody who's really curious about working outside statutory services. So you can learn about the opportunities, you can explore these ways of working. And if this is something that you are thinking about, please do head to that network and ask questions of others who've worked in the private sector and have set up their own business. And you can be signposted to lots of resources and tools that will help you start out on that journey. And there's also a closed peer support group there for anybody who is at the beginning of that journey that you'll be able to join soon, so you can get peer support to help you set out. Again, open to everybody, regardless of where you are in your career. And finally, our facilitating learning network, again for everyone, because we've all got to develop ourselves and we're all responsible for developing others as well. And you might find this one useful when you start thinking, hopefully soon, about preparing to become a practice educator. Next slide, please, Carolyn. And here's our list of our 15 practice networks. So if you're looking for guidance, inspiration, or simply just to connect with others who work in an area of practice, then these networks will help you to feel supported and connected to the profession around these areas. So you can observe and take part in discussions, and we're slowly starting to evolve the activities that will be offered through these networks with members and with our volunteer community. So they're all quite broad currently in their focus, and within them you'll find activities and discussions that are emerging that are focused on more specialised and specific topics. Being a member of these practice networks and the professional networks as well is included in your RCUT membership, so you can join as many as you like. And I think that's really valuable at this stage of your career journey. So you perhaps on a rotation, or learning about supporting service users with a range of conditions, or you're just figuring out what area of practice you want to work in. So do join as many as you think would be relevant to you. We do caution that it can become overwhelming if you join too many, and then you can lose the impact of being in the networks. But just join and see how you go along. I'm sure there's many that you'll find lots of interesting conversations in. Next slide, please. And last but not least, in terms of our networks, we've got 13 regional networks at RCUT. So when you join, you automatically become a member of your regional network based on your postcode. So you're not automatically added to your regional network. You need to go onto RCUT communities and join your regional group yourself. And you're not restricted to just that regional group. You can join other regional groups if you live or work in different regions or you have an affiliation with a different group. So this is a space where you can connect with others who work or perhaps live near you, and it's where you can seek support on local issues or come together with local OTs, especially if you perhaps want to find somebody to catch up with over a coffee and a chat, and where you can come together around issues that are relevant to your local region. So both our practice and regional networks are member-led, and I'll share with you in a minute about how you can become play an active role in these networks and how that can be a great professional development opportunity at this stage of your career. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, you can also connect directly with others. So when you join RCOT communities, you'll be asked to add information to your profile. And so the more information you add, the better, because that really helps people to find you so they can find people with similar interests and you can find them too. So you can search on the map, you can search using keywords, and you're able to zoom in on that map so you can really find somebody that's really quite close to you. And then you can use the direct messaging feature. So all I can say now is to get onto the platform. There's a comprehensive welcome journey that will be shared with you when you first log on, but that will be there to return to as you need. And that gives you some help with navigating the platform and its features and how to really get the most out of RCOT communities. And we'll be adding to that as we go along. The more members who join and get actively involved, the more benefit we're all going to get out of being part of these networks. So we look forward to seeing you there, hopefully. Okay, next slide. So actually, that was action number 1 about getting connected. There was lots to cover there. So next is recognizing and growing your skills. So this leads me on nicely to thinking about planning for and starting your first job, because it's exciting, but it can feel overwhelming. You'll be learning every single day and sometimes without even realizing it. So that's why it's important to recognize your learning as it happens and to make it part of your professional development. Next slide, please. So why is professional development important? What is it and why do we need to do it? Well, here's a brief list. So of course, it's about your own personal growth, your own professional growth, but it's also about making sure we're providing the best service we can for our service users, ensuring our practice is safe, it's effective, and we also need to demonstrate that to our regulator, HCPC. So remember, HCPC, the Health and Care Professions Council, requires you to keep your skills up to date and to be able to evidence this. So if you make it a habit from day 1, you'll not only meet those requirements easily, but you'll see your own growth more clearly, and that's incredibly motivating. Next slide, please. So one of the most practical tools you get with RCOT membership is your very own CPD portfolio. So this is because we want to help you to develop those good CPD habits to make sure you're complying with HCPC standards, but we really want you to be as prepared as possible. 2.5% of registered occupational therapists will be called for audit every other year. That's only a small number, so not to panic. And I've been here for many years and not been called once, so it doesn't always happen, but we need to be prepared. And regardless of the audit, it's a fantastic way to really demonstrate your growth, have professional growth conversations with your supervisor, with your peers. So we want to give you that place where you can actively, easily capture those reflections to support your lifelong learning. Next slide, please. So here you can see, this is just a screenshot of my dashboard. So you can see here where you can record your activities, your evidence. So as I say, keeps it really simple to capture your CPD. It's available on our website. It's where and if you see the little button in the right-hand side, that's the button that you're looking for on the website. Click on that, and that will take you to your CPD portfolio. You can also use the CPD.me app, which you can find in your app store. It says CPD.me, and the CPD and it's blue, so it's not RCUT branded, but you can log in using your RCUT membership details. And on our website, you'll also find some guidance and some videos to help you to get started. And if you've got any questions, you can pop them into the Facilitating Learning Network on RCUT communities. So here's what my portfolio looks like. It is quite simple, it's quite intuitive. So you can see on the left-hand side, you can record your activities in a diary, you can add reflections, you can log your supervision sessions, you can upload files and evidence, you can use tags, so you can record things by different categories. And then if you are called for HCPC audit, then you're very prepared because the portfolio just quickly pulls everything together, and then you can present it as a profile as in the HCPC format that they request. So you can see here that there's a dashboard as well, and that shows you that you're keeping up with the HCPC standards. You can see at the bottom there are 4 standards that you need to keep on top of, and you can see there that I'm up to date. But you also should really have some activities recorded each month. So I've got March and February. I need to slap on the wrist there, or I need to top up my CPD entries in my diary. So it's a great tool. So if you haven't used it yet, please do have a look. It really does take the stress out of recording your CPD, and as I say, helps you to get into those good habits. We try to make it as easy for you as possible too. So when you do attend many of our RCUT events, we do automatically add an entry to your portfolio, and we're gradually increasing the number of events that we're able to do that with. Okay, next slide, please. And finally, another valuable tool you have as a member is the RCUT Career Development Framework. So this is designed specifically for the occupational therapy profession. So it reflects the skills, the values, and the capabilities that are unique to what we do. So it helps you to understand what's expected at different levels of practice and across all 4 pillars of practice. So it helps you to plan your goals, and it helps you to grow and develop. And it provides you with that clear structure for planning. So you're not just reacting to opportunities, you can actively shape your career growth. It helps you to identify transferable skills as well, so you can prepare for future roles, either in the same service, or perhaps you have aspirations to move on to a different area of practice or a different type of role. So by starting to use the career development framework now at this part of your journey, you're giving yourself that roadmap so you can take control of your progression and make sure your development stays meaningful and impactful. And of course, you can record that progression over in your portfolio. Okay, so next slide. Let's move over to the next action 3, raising your profile. So professional development just isn't about what you learn, it's about how you share it as well. So raising your profile helps you to influence practice, it helps to build credibility, and it opens up new opportunities. So there's lots of opportunities to raise your own profile and raise the profile of the profession, both locally, nationally, and to promote OT in your area of practice. Next slide, please. So through your RCUT membership, you can present at conferences, you can present at local events with our support and support from peers in your network to help you prepare abstracts or to help you to share insights on RCUT communities, perhaps share your story through publications like OT News. And you can get involved in things like OT Week and our annual campaign and raise your profile and the profile of the profession. And every time you share your learning, you're helping to strengthen the profession, and you're making your contribution visible to your peers, to colleagues, to employers, to service users, to commissioners, and to the wider health and care system. Next slide, please. So you can take part in work streams, you can join us in advisory groups as a member representative, you can share your insights through consultations, you can help us get involved in shaping national strategies. So as a member, there's lots and lots that you can do to make your voice count. As I say, all these opportunities included in your membership, great way to stay up to date, get involved in activities that raise your professional profile. We really especially encourage you to make the most of this at this stage of your career, because we want your voice to be heard, and we need the voice of our early career occupational therapists in all of these different activities. Next slide, please. And this is, you'll be glad to know, finally, the last one from me. One of the best ways to grow as an early career OT is to get involved with volunteering with RCOT. So within our practice and regional networks, as I said, these are member-led. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to help those networks to grow and to thrive, to help shape those activities and the discussions that happen in those networks, and to really make it a valuable and welcoming space for our members. We're especially keen for early career occupational therapists and learners to join our volunteer community, because then you can become a representative for learners, for future learners, and for early career OTs. So you can help to make sure that those networks meet members' needs as they transition into practice and have your voice heard in shaping those activities. So volunteering gives you experience in leadership. It gives you experience in collaborating, in developing communication skills, all while building your own professional network and raising your own profile. So you'll be exposed to lots of different ideas, working with volunteers from lots of different skill sets, and you'll have lots of different ways of getting involved in activities that perhaps you won't come across in your day-to-day role. So you'll be really actively contributing to your own professional development. And we support you with that and give you lots of opportunities to develop skills and knowledge. Anyone who has volunteered at this stage of their career as part of our volunteer community tells us that it's a great way to really accelerate their confidence and open doors to future opportunities that they perhaps wouldn't have found elsewhere. So I'm not going to go through all the rules that are available now. It's time to move on, but we'll share a link to the opportunities in the chat. And if you do have any questions, please keep adding them. And myself, Christina from the communities team, will be answering your questions in the chat. I'm now going to hand over to Carolyn for action number 4.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. So I'm Carolyn. My role is Head of Education at RCOT. So yes, I'm sorry if I'm looking to my side. My slide's just the side for me. So yes, I'm going to. You've heard loads from Nikki about kind of 2, 3, 4 big resources that are available for you. I'm now going to do lots and lots of little resources that are available for you throughout your career. So hopefully you're busy scribbling away. But as we've said, this information will be available for you afterwards as well. So whilst you're moving into your first role, or you're finishing your studies, or you're just looking for your ideal first role, there's lots you can be doing to keep up to date. So we often have different resources, events and learning opportunities that are available, webinars such as this, or webinars that are quite specific about different topics, or we work with some external companies who might be delivering some training as well. So it's worth keeping an eye out on our events pages to see what opportunities are coming up for you. All the time we've got access to our different resources, so you can access our website at any time, you can access our library services at any time as well, or your portfolio and the communities chat. And I think that's one of the things that's really nice about the communities, that access is there 24/7. So there might be people doing different shift work or not sleeping like you are, a lot of people using well, it might be a reflection on me, but when we're trying to procrastinate against doing some different pieces of work, it gives us an opportunity to go in and have focused developmental chats, but give us a break for some of the other things we're doing. So use those resources 24/7, and you'd be surprised who else is out there chatting as well. We'll put a link in the chat to our digital resource centre, which gives you basically a link straight through to a few different really key resources for you that within our website. Our library has a huge range of books and resources for you. So some of you will still have access to your university libraries, some of you won't, or some will have it for a period of time or not. So our library is really helpful for you there. A huge amount of books. We work really closely with the library. So when your programme has RCOT accreditation, we share those reading lists with the library, who do their best to ensure that they have copies of those. So hopefully you'll find that there's a lot of familiar titles there for you, but also a lot of other titles that are specific to occupational therapy or to healthcare, research, equity, diversity and belonging, a whole load of different areas that will be interesting and relevant to your career as an OT. So that's some of the things there in terms of learning and researching. We also have our monthly OT news magazine. So for some of you that will come through your door, but you can also have it as a digital copy. And you might want to, when you go in, if you haven't yet registered with our new website, go in, register, and you can select to have a digital copy, which means that it's accessible all the time whenever you want it, to have a look through, and you can see previous copies, and also do a little bit to save the environment as well if you choose to have a digital copy. But you'll find that that's a really lovely way to keep in touch with different stories of people who are doing different pieces of work, things that are happening at RCOT. You'll also see different job adverts in there and other opportunities and events and things. So there's loads in the OT News. It's a really lovely resource. I used to love reading it. I used to be a lecturer, and there'd always be a story in there that had been written by somebody who I'd previously come across in through teaching or worked with or providing placements. So it's a really lovely way to keep connected. You'll see that you get a monthly email, which is really nicely, it's called Highlight, it's really nicely focused for you to look at things you want to be informed on or act on or get involved in. We've constantly got different social media stories out and about, and feel free to share your stories with our team so that we can promote your work as well. Our R&D bulletin, so a newsletter about research, which links nicely then to Only Connect on the communities pages. And then we also have our British Journal of Occupational Therapy, which I'm sure you'll be very familiar with through your studies and often quoted from different articles within that. But again, you can access that and get access to that through your membership, but also going through the library, you can access that whole range of other occupational therapy and more wide journal articles. And yeah, great resource for you, so you can have that accessible to you all the time. So a little of another kind of bonus action for you here is, at the moment we are just in the process of reviewing our learning and development standards. So for those of you who studied in the UK, all of your courses have RCOT accreditation, and they're accredited against a set of standards called our learning and development standards for pre-registration education. They get updated every 5 years, so we're going to pop a link in the chat for you where you can get involved in the consultation, which is out now on the new draft. But also really relevant to you as early career occupational therapists or soon to be early career OTs is a new set of early career standards that we're introducing. So take a look at these, but these are around how we can work with employers to support you in having the best introduction that you can to your career, and that's all occupational therapy employers. So we're going to be publishing these standards in April, and then we will look in time at how we can look at accreditation linked to those. So you'll see there that there's 6 standards, and they each then have substandards within those. So they're around establishing a sense of belonging and inclusion for you, thinking about structured supervision and support. What's a good standards there of supervision and support? Thinking about professional development and lifelong learning. So a lot of the things that Nikki's talked about within that. Sustaining personal health and well-being. So this is about your personal health and well-being, but thinking about how they can support you in that and the role that you take in supporting your own health and well-being as well. Developing your professional identity and building those networks, and then developing your professional capabilities. So we'd really encourage you to have a look at those new standards, share your thoughts on them, and also then share them with your employers and your colleagues so that we can, in time when they're published, we can look at how they're being implemented. And so our work as RCOT, we've talked here a lot about our membership offers and things that you can individually access and ways for you to connect. We're also doing a huge amount of influencing work and work to really lead the profession of occupational therapy. So some of that you will absolutely see and feel a part of. Some of that's happening in the background and different conversations we're having with governments, influencing different policies and things that are being published, thinking about areas where OT is working. So our workforce strategy was published a couple of years ago, and is a great strategy with individual plans for each individual country within the UK, so that we can make sure we're looking at where occupational therapy is best focused and placed, working towards 2025, so that we've got a vision there for 2025 around occupational therapy being accessible to everybody in the right places. We are obviously putting inclusion and EDB at the heart of everything we do, and our EDB strategy was also launched nearly 2 years ago now, maybe a year ago, with a clear action plan, and you can see updates of that on our website and get involved in the work related to that. We have different funding pots available for people, and actually the awards are just out at the moment for you to apply for. But funding's available to support research and innovation. That might be different projects, that might be going to a conference to share and disseminate your learning from a piece of work that you've done. As I've said, influencing policy across the nations, raising awareness of the power of OT. So there's a lot of work in terms of our annual campaign and OT week, which I think you'll find out a lot more about in the next couple of weeks. That's always in November, and a great opportunity for us to come together as a profession wherever we work, in whatever area of practice. And we also have Excellence and Lifetime Achievement Awards. So an aspiration for you, but also an area that you can nominate occupational therapists who you feel should be nominated for merit or fellowship awards. So you've heard a lot from us. What I want to do now is introduce Anna. So Anna is our bonus speaker for you. She's just coming on screen. Here she is. So welcome along, Anna. Nice to meet you. So Anna and I are just going to have a little chat just to talk about putting this in reality. Anna recently graduated, and I think transitioning is transitioning into practice is from learner to professional practice is one of the most exciting, but also possibly one of the most daunting things I think that happens in your career. I still remember that and my first job role, and that was 20 odd years ago. So I'm delighted to welcome Anna, who finished her studies last year and made that leap into practice. So we're just going to explore some of the highs and the hurdles of, I think, of some of the lessons you've learned as we go along the way. So welcome, Anna. Do you want to start just by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your role to becoming an occupational therapist and the role that you're now in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as you've said, Carolyn, my name is Anna. I actually started studying towards becoming an occupational therapist quite late. So I started when I was 37, trying to do my numbers, and I worked in childcare beforehand. Occupational therapy was always kind of like the long-term dream to go into once my daughter was old enough to cope with a stressed out mum trying to study, just because of the breadth and width of our kind of knowledge, and also where we can be applicable and support people. So that was kind of a big leap in 2020, just around kind of the whole onset with COVID. So that was all very interesting. My post at the moment, I am working with the Health and Social Care Partnership in Edinburgh. It's quite difficult because we're NHS staff and we're council staff. So teamwork is straight in there that you learn in uni and bring into the job. I'm currently working with the Discharge to Assess team. So it's supporting people who are coming home from hospital to basically live the life that they wish to live at home. I have also had experience with our prevention of admission team. As the name says, it's basically preventing people going into hospitals. So it's quite interesting being on both sides of the coin to see kind of the work is so vast and varied, which has been really interesting, but also, like you're saying, very daunting coming from university.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it is. But hopefully you're settling in a little bit. So what's kind of surprised you most about being in practice or in that transition period into practice?
I think you come in really scared, and I think it's maybe the same in placements. You come in scared, you have hundreds of questions, and you're always a bit worried, is someone going to think, I haven't actually completed my 4 years at uni. Why is she asking so much? And the positively surprising thing in my team was that everyone was welcoming for questions. Everyone kind of kept saying, just ask as many times as you need to, keep asking. And then the surprise kind of continues when other people start asking you for advice. And you're like, oh, I think I have actually transitioned from being a student to a practitioner, where, other people come to me now and ask. So kind of that transition and that growth and that development into being an occupational therapist, and not just having that on paper and, thinking, am I really allowed to do this? But you will be.
It's a bit like passing your driving test, isn't it? You think, is anyone going to catch me? I'm out here without my L plates on. But brilliant. Okay, so yes, lovely. And I can see from the sparkle in your eye what a lovely, it's obviously enjoying it, and it's a great thing for you. So how did your expectations of reality actually compare to the reality of practice?
I think it's really important that when you're kind of transitioning, you know, you do expect a little bit more kind of supervision and kind of, you know, a little gradual input, like step into the job. And that does happen in the first couple of weeks, but then you basically just hit the ground running. So it's kind of being aware of yourself, being aware that you can also say no. So if things become a little bit overwhelming, or you know, you think you have too many people to see, or if we're looking into CPD, you have, you know, more things to learn to make sure that you have the knowledge that you really need for your job. Kind of that's the biggest advice, to listen to yourself, listen internally. And while we all know, you know, occupational therapists, no matter which team you are in, you will be extremely busy. Take that time to kind of slow down, to ask for time to reflect and ask for time to learn and find your feet within the team that you're going to work with.
Yeah, I imagine it can be quite hard not to get caught up in the busyness, can't it? And then to actually take a step back and go, I am new, I need time to reflect and think about this.
Yeah.
And our code of ethics professional conduct supports you in needing that and not taking on too much and working within your boundaries and your safety. So it's perfect common sense, but also there are documents around that will support you in your conversations around that and how you want to approach it. So what else have you used as mechanisms to build your confidence?
So I think I know that Nikki touched on the, you know, CPD Me portfolio kind of task. I love that resource. It is one of the things that I use to document, you know, when I have been on training courses. If I get a bit worried about, you know, have I got this knowledge? Have I got something to back me up? It's really easy to kind of just look back and go, no, actually, I have been on this course. And then, because I might go into more detail of the CPD Me kind of portfolio thing, but you put it into a calendar form, so you can then see, when did I put in this record of, say, I did a course about walking aids and how OTs can measure you know, the height and appropriateness of that, and you can then look in, okay, I did this in April, so obviously that's when I've saved the documents that I've received from the course, so you know where to find all the kind of things that can remind you of the things that you have learned. It's also really, really important to have that, for me, the CPD Me portfolio for your own supervisions, because you will be asked, what have you done? You know, what have you learned? How have you reflected on things that have gone well or things that have not gone well? And again, I utilize that quite heavily going into supervisions, and also keeping myself right that I'm actually meeting the kind of standards of the HCPC.
Yeah, so it's a good reassurance, isn't it, as well, and really visual reassurance. And one of the things I like about it is that you can choose different reflective models. So you can go in and just say, I've done this, quickly capture it, but then go back and take that time to reflect and capture those reflections and the actions, importantly, and learning that you want to take forward. So brilliant. Okay, so let's think a little bit about supervision. Obviously, through all your placements, you have loads of supervision, and there's lots of prep, isn't there, talking about this concept of supervision, which I remember when I was at uni, people were quite surprised it didn't stop at the end of your studies. Supervision is with you now forever, and it continues to be with me, and I'm sure with you. So kind of what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe a little apprehensive about moving into that professional supervision as part of that transition into their first role?
I think there are a lot of different levels. First of all is make sure you know who your supervisor is. It might not be your direct manager. It might not be someone sitting within your team, depending on the size of your team. Make sure you know who your supervisor is. Make sure you know when your supervision is planned so that you have time enough to prepare. There are, again, really good resources on the RCOT webpage about, you know, what is supervision, what should it entail, the different kinds of supervision. Also go and look into the HCPC standards on the webpage. They give you a lot of kind of background on what supervision is. And I think the mindset is really, really important, how you go into supervisions. Supervision is not to catch you out that you've made mistakes. Supervision is a tool for you to grow, to learn, and to support yourself and the team. So I think it's, when you transition into the job, for me, you know, it's that little bit of a fear of, oh, supervision, you know, am I still being graded? Am I still being marked? Can I fail? And it's not, for me, it has not been like that. It's been a really supportive conversation. And I think it's just losing the fear of supervision, because it's there to support you as a professional practitioner. So
Yeah,
those.
absolutely. It is that changing nature, isn't it? You've passed, so of course we have, we have appraisals, we have standards that we need to be working to, and sometimes we need to have challenging conversations, but hopefully development conversations around that. But absolutely, it's a place for you to develop and learn, isn't it? And share your learning and use that as your development space. Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so what have been some of the challenges, do you think, of that transition to practice? Because it's not all beautiful and wonderful every day. I'm sure there's a couple of challenges that you've had to face.
Oh, definitely. It's first of all, I think a lot of us maybe have that. If you don't, I congratulate you. The kind of feeling of I'm graduated, but who's allowed me to do this? And am I really good enough? Am I not? You know, the imposter syndrome. First of all, believe in yourself. You have gotten either through the apprenticeship route, or the 4 years or 2 years at college if you're doing a master's. You have the right to be there. You've passed, you have looked into everything that's kind of going on. I do think one of the challenges is definitely time management, because you don't have the kind of course content, the set out modules of how your work progresses. Your work is kind of on your feet, and looking at who are the patients, clients, people that we work with coming in. Another thing that's always challenging, I think in every job, but probably in occupational therapy, because we're within multidisciplinary team approaches as well, is working within that team and building the relationships to your colleagues and making sure that they see the value in you as well. And while they see the value, also just support your learning journey. So, it's a bit contradictory, but on one hand, that you show your colleagues, you're still developing, you're still learning, but on the other as well, that you know yourself and you know when you can do something and you know when you can't and you have to step back. So kind of those time management aspects, definitely. One of the biggest is manage your annual leave wisely. I went in and didn't have annual leave for quite a long time because I felt good and I was okay and I was raring to go. You will need a break. So pop in a couple of long weekends. And yeah, so kind of looking into that.
Yeah, so build that time in so that you don't get to a point where you really need your annual leave, but you've got those prep points in, and trust your foundations. You've got that foundation there. It's now how you use that to kind of create the boundaries that you work within. So brilliant. Yes, I think top tip about annual leave, which leads beautifully onto the strategies you have kind of got in place to ensure that you maintain a really healthy work-life balance. I think it can be hard going from, especially the end of your studies, you're full pelt, aren't you, with research and placements and getting everything done, lots of group work, and then suddenly you go to potentially a 9-to-5 job or however it's structured, and you don't have to work in the evening. So how do you ensure that you can then kind of manage that pendulum swing for a nice healthy work-life balance?
I love it. I feel like I have my weekends back where I'm not fretting about assessments that have to be written. So I'm really, really utilizing that time to try and not think about work, to really switch off. So I would advise, while I do think the RCOT webpage is like a treasure trove of things, and sometimes it's good to look in when you have a bit more time, when you're not under the stress of the job. But I would advise you to try and really make sure that you have at least one day or two, better, where you don't look into the RCOT webpage, because that is work, but protect that time at work, that you still tap into those resources and kind of, make sure that that's still there. Yeah, I have to say, I didn't find that as hard as I thought I would find it, because I'm quite good at switching off. So I worry at work, and I worry about the people I work with, and I worry about the people that I see as patients and my team. But when I go home, I close the door and I'm done. So if you can do that, if you're not working from home, make sure you do that. Protect that time at home. As we all know, as occupational therapists, balance and harmony are the key. So you're not going to be a good, productive member of the team if you're burnt out and stressed. So
practice what we preach. I think that we need to make sure we do that. Yeah, and as you say, have confidence that those RCOT resources and all the other resources are there and to benefit your work as well. So it's finding that line, isn't it, and making sure that your personal development is built into your work time as well as understandably a bit of your personal time as well, because it's for your own career development. Brilliant. I'm conscious of time, so I think we've talked quite a bit about the RCOT membership resources, and you've talked about the portfolio that you found really helpful and some of the supervision resources. So I'm just going to ask as a closing question, what keeps you motivated and passionate about OT? I guess it's the why question, isn't it?
I think it's coming back to where you started as well. I think it's that supporting people to live the way that they would like to live, for them to do what they need and want to do. Just that motivation. I feel within a community setting, I am really, really privileged. I am allowed to go into people's lives, and I have to admit, I'm quite a nosy person. I quite like to know how things work, how people work, how everything. And I feel that's a huge privilege of my job, because I meet so many different people with so many different houses and flats and likes and dislikes and occupations, and just looking into how we as occupational therapists can support. And sometimes that's signposting, sometimes I don't see that out to the end, but it's this just meeting so many different people and pets. I've just had the biggest Great Dane dog on one of my visits, and he was amazing. So I think the privilege of seeing other people's lives, and hopefully, obviously that's the aim, being that supportive factor that ensures that they can still live and do what they want and need to do. So that's the biggest motivation,
Brilliant.
I think.
Oh, that's fab. I think that keeps the sparkle in your eyes, doesn't it? So I think that's brilliant. I think the only thing we haven't touched on that I just want to mention is that some of the leadership opportunities, you were chair of a group we had for students, which was an Ankandaf Learner Forum. That forum doesn't exist in the same way, but just I think Nikki talked about leadership at every level. Just sorry, I've stuck in an extra question when I said I wouldn't, but how's that been useful to you? I'm just thinking about the volunteer opportunities and how we can help build your career, your CV early in your career.
It's been amazing. So the group started as the Anne Cardiff Learner Forum, and it has now developed into the Anne Cardiff Peer Support Group. It's given me loads of opportunities to be within a group setting, going from being a member to then going up to being chair, and utilising when we're going into networking. That has given me a lot of kind of opportunities to network with other students. And then also with you at the RCOT, we've been, quite privileged to be able to see what the work at the RCOT is actually doing, and also to then kind of move on from the format that we used to have to now sit in working groups. So I am part of the Scotland Workforce Advisory Group and the Learning and Teaching Strategy Development Group. And it's just so much knowledge, and also to put my voice in there as a newly qualified occupational therapist, which sometimes feels like you're saying, at different levels that you not quite have those opportunities. So I have, that supported me in development and being more confident to speak up, and also learning a lot from others, because I've obviously been in those groups with so many hugely experienced occupational therapists. So that has really helped as well. I would definitely not be afraid to kind of go into team meetings and speak up. And I think that has definitely helped me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for taking time. I can see you're at work, so thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, Anna. And hopefully everyone's found your experiences really, really helpful to them. Brilliant. So I'm just going to share a last couple of slides. Just want to make sure I'm sharing the right slides with you. So hopefully you can see on there a Q. Oh, no, sorry, I've just shared completely the wrong slide there. We don't want that. Let me just, sorry, my mouse just slipped as I was doing that. There we go. So hopefully now you can see a QR code there. So if you are an RCOT member already, then you can transition across to professional membership. And if you're not an RCOT member, here is a space for you to join a member. become a member. So we've talked a lot about some of the big resources. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the other resources that are available for you that may be relevant or not relevant at different points in your career. So as part of your membership, you have Unison membership as well. So that gives you workplace representation, legal support and financial assistance. They're also doing a lot of work on your behalf for the profession and other healthcare professions as well. We have a professional advisory service, so you can call there if you need specific guidance on a specific topic, and they may signpost you to other places, or they may be able to provide that information for you. Should you ever get called for a CPD audit within the HCPC registration period, we offer specific support for that. So there's loads of information online, but at the moment we've got a group, obviously it won't impact on you, but we've got a group on the communities platform for people who are going through that audit, so they can talk about that together, share their top tips and experiences. So that's a really lovely way to connect at what might feel like quite a tricky time. You also get professional indemnity insurance, again, something we hope you don't have to take up, but it's there for you as part of your membership. And we have financial support. We have a hardship fund as well that you can apply for. So that might be relevant to help support you in your membership fees. Some other bits here I'll just pick up on, because we've talked about a lot of these, but we have different spotlights on particular evidence. We've talked about the British Journal and the Career Development Framework, which are well helpful, well useful for you to use in terms of thinking about your career development and your next steps in your career. And also we have a jobs board for when you feel like taking that next career move. So it might be a promotion, or it might be across a different area of OT as a chance to expand your experience. So we've given you 4 actions, and I feel like we've given you a lot to scribble down and a lot of actions to take, but hopefully they are all useful to you and things you can take away and do immediately or over the next few months as you continue to look for roles, complete your studies, or move into your first role. But do make sure you get connected, recognise your skills. You've got brilliant skills, both through your OT studies, the beginnings of your first job role and your previous life experience. Recognise those and utilise them. Raise your profile through how you can work with different opportunities such as volunteering with us, and keep informed, because we've got lots of resources for you. So I'm going to hand back to Sheetal there to pick up on any questions that you've raised. I think we've saved you a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Carolyn. Hopefully you can see me shortly. Give me a nod, someone, if you can hear me.
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, Dagmara, if you could put me back on screen, that would be brilliant. Thank you. Here I am. Thank you. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that session and hearing about everything on offer through our COT membership, and hearing some wonderful insights there from Anna. We're going to take some time now for some questions, but before we do that, actually, I want to run a poll again just to sort of get an idea of how helpful that webinar has been for you. So Dagmar, if you could run the poll, thank you, and we'll leave that up there for 30 seconds to give you a chance to feedback. And there have been some questions that have come in, which is great. So we'll kick off because we've only got a few minutes. But so Nikki, if you could take the first one. So when logging CPD, how do we log learning during a placement, and is it work related?
Yes, of course. And now when you're on placement, that's a fantastic time to start using the portfolio. The portfolio isn't just for when you transition into practice. You should really start to use it when you are a learner as well. And absolutely during placement, that's the time to start to really get into those good habits, but also not when you're on placement too, when you're at university, you know, the conversations that you have with your peers when you all come back from placement, or whatever you learn in your modules at university, but also activities outside of your OT training. So you might volunteer for a charity, or you might be in a role, you know, for example, on a board of governors. It's not just things that you do within your OT sphere. It's lots of different things. So just get on there and get into the habit of recording anything that you feel is helping you to develop skills and knowledge.
Brilliant, thank you, Nikki. It's an interesting question here from an attendee who is considering becoming an independent practitioner when qualified, but is concerned that the course that they've been on hasn't provided them with the knowledge and skills needed to be a competent and confident practitioner. So what's available through RCOT to help?
Yeah, I can answer that one as well. It's a great question. And of course, I am going to suggest, as you might imagine, joining the Independent Practice Network, because that's where you will get support from people who've been on that journey. A lot of people do think that working in independent practice isn't something that you can do until you're further down your career journey, until you feel more confident and have more expertise. But it is something that you can absolutely start to think about at this part of your career. So lots of people do different things. People start off as associates just to start to understand what it feels like to work in private practice. Or you can go along and work with other people who are already very established, and they become your mentors, your supervisors, and can help you to develop. So that would be a great question to take into the network and find out from others what they did and what their advice would be. And there are already some resources within the network, and we'll be building those up, and there's some courses and things that you can attend to, because being an independent practitioner is about being an occupational therapist, but there's also a lot more that you need to know in terms of understanding how to run a business, if that's the route that you go down. Sheetal said we've also got an insurance webinar coming up in September, and that's really important when you're working as a independent practitioner.
Okay, we've hit 1 o'clock, but there's a couple of quick questions I think we can cover from the chat that have come in. So Nikki, or Carolyn actually, does volunteer OT work count as or classified as completed OT practice hours for the HCPC? It's quite a specific question there, but yeah, does volunteering count as practice hours?
I think that's a no in a nutshell, but I'll let you answer that more detail, Karen, if you want to pick
Okay.
Yes, it depends if you're talking about pre-registration placement hours, in which case the answer would be no. It needs to be past assessed placement hours. So as part of a module for your course that has clear learning outcomes that you need to meet and be assessed on, and that needs to be a minimum of 1,000 hours. If you're talking about post-registration, HCPC aren't looking at a specific number of hours. They're looking at the work that we're undertaking and that we're meeting the standards of proficiency in that way. So it's just understanding whether that question's coming from a student perspective or a registered perspective.
And volunteering does count as CPD, so you
Yes,
can list that.
It absolutely does. I think that's a useful point to add in as well, that, you know, I know that everybody in the call is at different stages, but if you do get to a point where you're nearing the end of your studies, you're applying for roles, but perhaps roles aren't coming up in your area, you know, volunteering at RCT is a great way to kind of transition and bridge that gap. As you're looking for your new job, you're keeping that connection and looking out for opportunities. And I think volunteering is a really good way of demonstrating that you're continuing your development during that transition into practice.
Thank you. So we've come to the end of our webinar today. If you do have any other questions, you're always welcome to email in to hello@rcot.co.uk, and a member of the team will get back to you. And as I mentioned, we'll be emailing a copy of this event recording and the slides to you later this month. So thank you once again, and we wish you all the very best of luck in your next move. Thank you.